Welcome to Don's Manufactory. Well, got my lathe done. My first device, I should say, first product off of my lathe is a new wheel for my emergency brake handle. Here's the repair I did back in the 70s. I just sort of hammered the old one together and brazed it, and brazed washers on either side to stabilize it. It worked kind of okay. The cable gets caught in here sometimes, so it doesn't pull exactly like it should. But pretty much it worked, but you can see by my handle that it was hard to pull. And but you know, this is pretty standard failure on a Mustang. If you want to yank the emergency brake or the parking brake hard enough to actually stop the car from rolling and to stick it, this is what ends up happening. In lieu of that, this is something I've wanted to do for 30 years. I wanted to make a solid wheel. I also made a new clevis pin out of a 5/16 bolt. I just turned the head to make the nub head like a clevis pin has and drilled it, and I now have a perfect bearing fit here for all of this. So my e-brake, or my parking brake, however you want to say, is ready to be put back in the car. All I got to do is add a little grease to that, and there it is, just like so. And the idea here is that you tap this little tang down. Where's my hammer? You tap this little tang down till it almost hits the wheel, like that. And what it's supposed to do is stop the cable from being able to jump out of the emergency brake. So that means that the cable will stay in the wheel and not jump out and go down beside, which really makes it hard to pull. And so there you go. I'm going to have to order a new handle. Has anybody tried those billet aluminum ones? Seems like those would be a much sturdier handle. I mean, this actually has a steel part that comes up and goes through the handle, but it bends real easy. I thought about just heating this up with the heat gun and straighten it out, bend the metal back. You can see how the plastic's cracked right there, you know. And now it's just a parking burr. The ache is worn off. Oh, I wish my aches would wear off. That would feel better. Okay. So what I like to talk about just a little bit here at the beginning. You've been watching videos on my steering box saga. So now that the steering box is all done, it's back in the car, I'm going to summarize. Back in November, I ordered a steering box from CJ Ponies. When it arrived, it was the wrong one, and I'll say assumed that was CJ's fault. I had to ship it back at my expense, which I was not very happy about. I decided that I would call the manufacturer, because they had a label on the box, and deal with them direct. So I did. I called the Lares Corporation, talked to somebody there about getting the correct steering box. So I waited, 7 weeks for that first steering box from CJ's. This second time I waited, took them a couple of weeks to get it built, another week to get it to me, so 3 weeks. And when it arrived, it had the wrong lower, or the pitman shaft seal. So this indicates a couple of things to me. One is I can't work on it because as soon as I open that box up, the warranty is void, and so whether I can use the thing or not, I've bought it. So I didn't want to fix it myself. The fact that the person that built it didn't know that they put the wrong seal in, that sort of hints that the person who assembled it doesn't know the needs of the assembly. You know, it's kind of like you have a mechanic and a mechanic has a helper. The mechanic understands the needs of the assembly, and they're the one who decides what needs to be done, how it's going to be done, and then ensures that it's done properly. The helper is there to take things apart and put them together under instruction. So I kind of had that feeling that the person who put the steering box together doesn't actually understand the needs of the assembly. So I did some more checking on the box. Compared to mine, even after I machined my steering box, the one I got from Layers Corporation, the adjuster screw was down shorter and the pitman arm was sticking out the bottom further. So that to me says that box was remachined, but it's actually in worse shape than my own box. I just decided that I was going to fix my own box. At that point, I had to ship that second steering box back. And when I got it, I understood that it wasn't CJ's mistake originally. Layers Corporation were the ones who misboxed the steering, put the wrong steering box, had the wrong part number on the outside of the steering box, however you want to say it. But anyway, they're the ones who made the mistake of why I got the wrong one in the first place. And they're the ones who made the mistake and why I had to send the second one back. So I have now paid for shipping 2 steering boxes. I'm out a little over $200, about $210, and I got nothing to show for it. So I've made this decision. I know some of you think I'm crazy for fixing my own steering parts and my own idler arm and my own drag link, but when I have to wait weeks for parts to come in and then they're wrong and I have to pay for shipping to send them back, I'm spending money, I'm burning up time, and I got nothing to show for it. So I made the decision that I was going to spend my time instead of my money. I can spend 3 days on a part that I'd have to wait 3 weeks for, and I'm not out the money, and I'm spending less time. So ultimately, I end up with a better part. I know what I have, and I'm spending less time. I can move the project forward faster. So that's why I'm making the decisions that I am. Wait 7 weeks for a part that you can't use. I waited weeks for the steering parts from CJ's, and when they arrived, they were all the wrong stuff. And they don't even want them back. So they're sitting here in a box. Can't use them. They gave me my money back. Yay. Points for CJ's. Layers refunded me the price for the box, but I paid for shipping both directions. So, off we go. I just want to sort of explain why I'm making the decisions I am. It seems like I'm just burning up time fixing these things when I could just go buy something, but I'm not at all guaranteed that I will get the right part, and I'm just tired of waiting for parts, my salvation as it were, and then when it arrives, it's not. It's happened so many times in the last 3 months or so that I could have saved myself weeks and weeks of time if I'd have just done the stuff myself. Okay. That's enough of that. I want to get working on the upper ball joint relocation, checking out the upper control arm bushings. I may rework those. I don't know yet. And get the Shelby drop, get the shock towers drilled so that I can put the control arms back in their Shelby drop position and then map the movement and start checking the geometry of everything. Steering box is back in. Drag link is back up. There it is. I want to give an extra special super duper thanks to Randy down at Precision Products in Texas. Thank goodness the Infernal Craftsman referred me to him, gave me that link to his website. I'll include his information down in the description of the video. So if you're interested or if you need a steering box repair, this guy's the guy. And it's not just Mustangs. It's Fords, Chevys, whatever. If you've got an antique box, steering box that needs work, he's the guy. Okay. I couldn't have done it without him. I have received from Randy at Precision Products in Texas, I have received a lower seal, 2 ball bearings, and a roller bearing for the sector shaft. So I now have the parts to complete my steering box. In my, I don't know, frustration, I lost one of the rollers in the original bearing, or I could have just kept my original ones. But anyway, so I ordered a bearing from him and I replaced it. I discovered that those bearings are not shouldered in place. So you don't press the bearing to a shoulder. The bore for the pitman shaft is honed or reamed straight through. So my upper bearing was standing proud a couple hundred thousandths of the bottom of the casting for the steering box. And I just decided, okay, I'm just going to press that down flush with the casting. So I did. So I've got 2 full turns before the pitman shaft, the gear, is down against the bearing. So I have oodles of adjustment left, more than it'll need in before I'm dead. It'll last 30 years at least. Really, Randy, thank you. You're a savior. I wouldn't have been able to finish my box. I talked to him at length about these steering boxes and got all kinds of information and stuff. Really saved my bacon on that, and I could get the job done. So, thank you. Okay. Let's move on.